but their problems began with white invasion. The majority of the world will never understand how damaging alcohol has been for indigenous people, perhaps more devastating than any disease, gun, massacre, or policy. The perfect colonizer, alcohol, has no conscience. It feels no remorse or regret from the modern Holocaust it has caused. Indigenous people are more likely to drink alcohol than non-indigenous people, but those who drink are most likely to drink at harmful levels. Drinking too much alcohol is associated with health conditions such as liver disease, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and some cancers, brain damage, injury and violence, and self-harm. In a recent study, it showed that almost 12% of deaths among Native Americans and Alaska Natives are alcohol-related, more than 3 times the percentage in the general population, a new federal report says. The researchers obtained their statistics by analyzing death certificates over the 4-year period. The 2 leading causes of alcohol-related deaths among Indians were traffic accidents and alcoholic liver disease, each of which caused more than a quarter of the 1,514 alcohol-related deaths over the 4-year period. Also listed are homicide, suicide, and injuries and falls. There may be more alcohol-related deaths than the studies show, in part because the CDC analysts did not count deaths related to diseases for which alcohol is believed to be an important risk factor, such as tuberculosis, pneumonia, and colon cancer.
2.9 million people, or about 0.9% of the U.S. population, are Native American or Alaska Native. Death rates in general within Native Americans are 50% greater than of non-Hispanic whites. Suicide rates for the Native American population are also 50% greater than that of the general population. In 1983, the hospital discharge rates for alcohol-related disorders among Native Americans was 2.5 times the rate of all other races. It was also 4 times higher among males than females. 4 of the 10 causes of death among Native Americans are alcohol-related. In this graph, you can see, according to age group, the average annual number of alcohol-attributable deaths among American Indians and Alaska Natives. Within each Native American tribe, there were different variations of alcohol users. In the Standing Rock Sioux tribe, 69% were regular users and 24% were heavy users. In the Ute tribe, 80% were regular users and 26% were unusually heavy drinkers. In the Navajo tribe, 30% were regular users and 14% were heavy drinkers. In the Ojibwe tribe, 84% were regular drinkers and 42% were heavy users. On the issue of Native American alcoholism, one may argue that Native Americans brought this problem onto themselves and they should be able to manage it. After all, each race and ethnicity has their own issues and they are able to manage it on their own. It could also be said that it isn't really an issue at all because, as I said previously, everybody drinks, not just Native Americans. All races and ethnicities have a drinking problem, not just Native Americans, so why should it only be a Native American issue? There are also studies that show that other races drink just as much or even more than Native Americans, so once again, it isn't just a Native American issue. For example, there was a study that showed that 74% of white males are current drinkers, while only 65% of Native American males were current drinkers.
Alcoholism is a recurring issue in Native American poetry. In the poem Evolution by Sherman Alexie, it shows a degradation of the Native American people and their culture by intentionally setting up a pawn shop right across a liquor store, which is where we can see the recurring issue of alcoholism. Buffalo Bill takes valuables from the Native Americans in exchange for money strategically so that the money will eventually be spent on the liquor store. Since alcoholism is an issue within Native Americans, the Europeans, which in this case is Buffalo Bill, know that they can't resist alcohol and make it a temptation for them while also taking their valuables. Firewater by Carter Rivard also depicts the issue of alcoholism. Firewater, the title of the poem, means strong liquor. The first few lines say, "Sometimes I think how alcohol's a marvelous solvent, can remove red people from a continent. In this case, the red people are Native Americans. The problem of alcoholism seems so bad to be able to remove a whole group of people from a continent." It then goes to describe how alcohol is made and portrayed differently based on who is drinking it. Example, pour this into an inner city and create your designated criminal class purely to blame for everything. End quote. But later it talks about Congress or a corporation and how it's a good thing for them and it gives them power to write laws. It shows how alcoholism in minorities or Native Americans is always portrayed as bad, but with the white or powerful men, it's the opposite. The poem Indian Solipsisms and Archetypal Holocausts by Polygon Allen talks a lot about the misunderstandings of Native Americans, including alcoholism. It says that there are endless misunderstandings of the native world by outsiders that have been generated by either the New Age materials, films, histories, or other media. It also talks a lot about how white culture has redefined the Native Americans. It says that it makes them try to function, to stay sober, to find their identity, but the white thinking that is going on challenges them to do so.
Fetal alcohol syndrome is a congenital syndrome caused by excessive consumption of alcohol by the mother during pregnancy, characterized by retardation of mental development and of physical growth. Native Americans have some of the highest rates of fetal alcohol syndrome in the nation. Among some tribes, the rates are as high as 1.5 to 2.5 per 1,000 live births. Among others, the rates are comparable to that of the general population in the United States and range between 0.2 to 1.0. Fetal alcohol syndrome facial characteristics are an underdeveloped jaw, a thin upper lip, smooth philtrum, short nose, flat midface, epicanthal folds, short eyelid opening, a low nasal bridge, and a small head.